Hi, I'm Janelle DeAmicis. I'm one of the astrologers with Planetary Calendar, and this is our weekly portrait. This one I've been very excited about because it's Janelle Monae, a wonderfully talented young woman who started off as a rapper and then has become an actress and producer. Very, very talented. She was born on December 1st, 1982 in Kansas City, Kansas. So you can't say that she was born in Manhattan and she was going to, high school of the arts. This is a person who really got there on talent. And there's things about her chart that are remarkable in that she is, in some ways, in terms of people, in terms of humanity on Earth, part of a new paradigm. And it's fascinating. What's very funny is what really got me going on her chart were in some ways the similarities to Pope Francis. They're very connected in the way their charts work. They're both Sagittarians and they have some similar qualities, which is remarkable. Now, she's born with Virgo Rising, okay? She's born with the sun in Sagittarius, and she's born at the full moon within not that many hours away from the full moon with the moon in Gemini. What's interesting, and there's another number of things that we've discussed about charts that she really points out, but what's very interesting is she has what's called a classic bucket chart, where you have everything bundled together in one hemisphere, and then you have another planet by itself in the other, and that's called the handle of the bucket, and it means that becomes the fountainhead for her personality. For all this energy, it becomes the fountainhead. In her case, everything is below the horizon, and everything is within 90 degrees, from 28 degrees Libra to 23 degrees Capricorn. Everything's in that 90-degree area, and then they're both very balanced because they actually form loose quincunxes to the moon in Gemini at the midheaven within 4 degrees of the midheaven, right? It's fascinating. So her projection of herself as a woman in the world into her career is complete. Now, if she had been born where this was lopsided, like someone who was born on the same day but was born close to dawn, it would be going out to the 7th house. So her focus would be all about her partnership. But for her, it's all about the career. But it comes from great depths within her personality. Now, at the rising is the asteroid Astrea. It's one of the more recent asteroids that we've been using a lot, and it has a lot to do with advocacy. Following that is Hygeia, the great mother asteroid. Following that is Pluto. Power in small packages. She's 5 foot tall. That perfectly describes her. In Libra, right, the sign of the artist. Following that is the first visible planet in the 3rd house, Saturn in Scorpio. This is a person who comes across, or people read her as being very serious, because that's the first visible planet. But it's the 3rd house, the house of Gemini. Remember, her moon is in Gemini. This is the sign of the trickster. And she comes across in a very Geminian kind of way. Remember, it's very mercurial. She has Virgo Rising, the other Mercury-ruled sign. This is a person who, can take both sides of the argument. I think she actually identifies as pansexual, which is, once again, a very modern concept. And that's part of what makes her very special, is this mercurial sense of identity. It reflects you back to yourself. Now, let's get to the sun. Let's get to the core personality. Her sun is in a stellium, part of a stellium. Stellium is a group of planets together in the same sign. It includes Uranus and Pallas. Uranus is the disruptor. Pallas is the feminine advocate, the really powerful advocate. The sun is at 8 degrees. The sun's position by itself is significant. That's the position of Antares, one of the brightest stars in our sky, known for being very warlike. And people born close to Antares tend to be noisy. They tend to be forceful personalities. Coming from the 4th house, the most feminine of the houses. So it comes from her deep feminine self. On the other side is Mercury in Sagittarius, which gives her a great sense of humor and also the ability to think big thoughts. Conjunct Mercury at 15 degrees Sagittarius is Venus. So her artistry and her ability to communicate are linked very, very strongly. So she's born with Neptune at 26 degrees Sagittarius, conjunct Ceres, the largest of the asteroids. 26 degrees, that's the galactic center. This is the big esoteric center of our galaxy. And Neptune, the planet that relates most to imagination, and Ceres, a powerful feminine energy, are plugged into it. Now, I mentioned she was born at the full moon. Well, the thing about Antares is one of the archangel stars. There were 4 stars that were considered the archangel stars. And the reason was during periods of time when the sky was very clouded, these 4 stars were still visible and you could navigate by them. They were north, south, east, and west. Now, this happened so long ago that precession has actually shifted them, that they're no longer quite north, south, east, and west, but they still maintain that symbolism for us. Well, they're opposite each other, so someone is opposite Antares. Who? Aldebaran. So the moon is conjunct Aldebaran, a star known for high integrity. So you have one, a powerhouse, Antares, and high integrity at the other end at the level of career. So when she approaches her creative projects in her career, she approaches it with a very high level of integrity. Now, the Virgo Rising enforces that, because Virgo Rising, when you meet people at Virgo Rising, they give you a very strong sense of mission and purity of purpose. They are there to serve. They're there for humanity. So you combine these things together, and remember, it's at 10 degrees Virgo. So it's square to both the sun and the moon. That's an important point, because you see, when you have planets in opposition, any planet that's off to 90 degrees of the two of them becomes a bit of an outlet. It gives you some leverage on it. She doesn't have one of those. What she does have, though, is the ascendant and the descendant, the ways in which she approaches the world and the way in which she partners with the world are important factors in terms of how she uses this energy. But it is so focused. It's like, when you see the pattern, it's kind of like holding up a spear, holding up a sword with a handle at the bottom and the point at the top. This is a person on a very powerful creative mission who is plugged very much into transhuman energies through Aldebaran, through Antares, through the galactic center. These energies are very, very, like I said, beyond human. And because it's a Mercury-ruled moon, a Mercury-ruled rising, Mercury is the only planet that can go back and forth easily between the spiritual and the physical. And so she really transitions between those two a lot. Her creative self she's probably one of the people who has a lot of connections between the two sides of her brain. She can go from logical to creative, to logical to creative, intuitive creative to logical, back and forth very easily. And the Uranus so close to the sun really makes her a disruptor. She really can't help that. She loves disrupting things. She loves doing things differently. She loves doing it in a modern way. And yet it comes from a deeply feminine self. Now, what's funny is that when you look at what's called the dignities in terms of how the planets are dignified, she has a number of things in place which are on the internal side, the introvert side. The only real powerful planet she has in the external side, the extrovert, is the Mars in the 5th house, a very critical place, in Capricorn. This is a hard-working person. This is something we talked about in Julia Roberts' chart. They both have that. Gives them the great high cheekbones and tremendous endurance. Both of them have that. And in both cases, Mars and Capricorn was their primary external position. And it's the position of the confidant, of the best friend, of the colleague. So she's someone who's it makes a person very good at working with other people, because other people tend to trust them physically. That's a great quality. So it's just a wonderful chart. And I think you should take a look at it and explore it yourself, and look at her artwork, because her artwork, her music, her performances, she really is something very, very special. So thanks so much. Come see more of our episodes and, of course, our forecasts. We post those every Friday, the weekly forecast, at spaceandtime.com. And, of course, you can go there and planetarycalendar.com and purchase your calendars because you want to know what's happening. And thank you so much, and see you next week.